The Wuben X1 Pro is pushing over 12,000 lumens, has a built-in cooling fan, and can charge your phone. And I'm going to tell you right now, this probably isn't going in my pocket, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have a place in an EDC or preparedness setup. So let's talk about why that is. Now, before we get into it, a quick note of transparency. This light was sent to me by Wuben at no cost for this review, so no money was exchanged and there was no input from Wuben on the video before I posted it, but I did get the light for free, so just keep that in mind. So with that out of the way, let's get into it and talk about what really makes this light so interesting. So as I mentioned, over 12,000 lumens to be specific, it's 12,300 lumens is the max output on this. It can throw a beam out to 400 meters. It has dual flood and throw emitters, so you have one of each. It has dual user replaceable 21,700 batteries, or 21,700 batteries, however you want to say that, but they are rechargeable and non-proprietary is the big thing there. And it also, as I mentioned, has a built-in cooling fan and the power bank functionality through this USB-C port. So with all those great points, why am I saying that I'm not going to carry this in all likelihood? Well, that really comes down to its size. So this light is 5.43 inches long, 2.35 inches wide, and 1.16 inches thick, which the length isn't a huge deal, but the width and the thickness are definitely on the bigger end. And weight is the other big thing here. It is 0.84 of a pound or 13.5 ounces. So you're really pushing into almost a 1 pound light here, which is a lot of weight in your pocket. Now, could you carry it? Sure. Are you probably going to? Probably not in your pocket. And it is worth noting that it doesn't even have a pocket clip anyway. But it did come with this neat little belt sheath where you open this and you strap it in here. And then it has the belt hook there, or belt loop there, whatever you want to call that. So that is an option for carrying it. And just for reference, a couple lights that I do carry pretty regularly, we have the Streamlight ProTech 2AA, and we have the Olight Arcfeld UV. So that just gives you kind of an idea on size as far as what we're looking at here. So that out of the way, let's talk about one of my favorite parts of this, and that is the user interface. Now, if you've seen my review on the Wuben X4, which if you haven't, I'll have the link up here. But one of the criticisms that I had of that light was there's just so much going on with that light, and there was a lot to remember in the user interface, and it got cluttered real fast. Well, that is not the case with the X1 Pro. So starting out for charging, it's very simple. You have the charging port here, and you just plug it in with whatever wall outlet you're using and charge it that way. Now, if you have an external battery charger, you can take these out and put these in that charger as well. So I do have a charger because I have a lot of rechargeable batteries, so that is an option, and you can have extra batteries and swap them out too, so that is a big perk. Excuse me, as far as the controls, pretty simple. You have the light, the button here that controls the on and off, and if you double click it, it'll go straight to turbo. And if you want to change the brightness of the light, you just hold it and it will cycle through the different brightnesses. So really simple user interface as far as that goes. And the other thing is, like I mentioned, this has a throw beam, a flood beam, and you can run both of them together. So in order to do that, you have it on, or you can just switch it while it's off too, but just so you can see, it will switch between them with this little switch right here. So you can switch between all the different beams. So that's a really, really cool feature, and it's super, super simple. Now, there are a couple deeper features like a strobe or an SOS, but those are kind of niche use cases, so I'm not going to walk you through that. Just know that you do multiple clicks with the side button in order to do that. So, but one of the things that I love is with the dual emitters here, most lights make you choose between a throwy beam or a floody beam, or you're going to try to find some compromise in between. So this gives you the option of having one or the other, or that compromise beam, or the best of both worlds kind of situation. So yeah, I just absolutely love that you have those options with this. So talking about the beams though, the flood beam is a wide, bright, super usable beam for lighting up large areas. This is probably what you'll use for working around the house, lighting up a yard and things like that. And then you also have the spot beam, and that lets you throw the beam out a lot farther. And when I'm showing the video here, I'll have the approximate distance of what you're looking at, just so that it gives you an idea of what I was working with. But it's not just a tight hotspot, it's actually a usable throw with a little bit of spillover on the outside too. Now, one thing to note, that 12,300 lumen stat, that's not from a single emitter, that's the combined output of the two emitters. So respectively, the throw is on turbo is 3,650 lumens, and the flood is 8,650 lumens. So you add those together, and that gives you that total lumen output. So you're not getting that from a single module like you might assume. But that's just something I wanted to make sure you understood, because a lot of people don't necessarily cover that. And here in a few, we'll look at how that compares to a few of the lights that I own, including the ones I just showed you here. But like most lights, the X1 Pro has varied runtime depending on the output level. Now, instead of running through every level and every runtime, I'll bring the spec sheet up here. But a couple of highlights. The main highlight for me, like I mentioned, is the insane 12,300 lumen output when you're on turbo. And also, on the opposite end of that, the 28-hour runtime when you're on low in both the throw and the flood mode. So you get a long runtime out of that. And they even have the eco mode, which is only 12 lumens, so it'll give you just enough light to work on something. You can get hundreds of hours of runtime out of that. And that's thanks to the really powerful battery. And also note that on turbo, it has a step down after a minute, and then another step down after another minute. And that's typical of these higher output lights. And that allows them to get, that really bright light for a little bit. But all that talk, specs are one thing. Let's see what that actually looks like against the lights that I carry regularly. So as you saw, the X1 Pro really separated itself as far as performance goes. It's not just bright, it is very bright, and it's flexible in how it delivers it. But all that brightness creates heat, a lot of heat. And the X1 Pro tries to address that as well. So I mentioned it has a built-in cooling fan. Now that sounds kind of gimmicky, but you can see it here, but it really actually does help. It allows the light to hold its advertised brightness levels for just a bit longer before it needs to step down. Now, I'm going to start the fan because that's one of the user interface things you can do. So we'll see if you can hear it. Oh, okay. Now I can hear it running right now. I'm not sure how well the mic is picking it up, but it is definitely audible. But there we go, and it's off. But what you gain in what you gain in sustained performance, it really is a trade-off that makes it. And the other really good thing is it is removable. So I'm not sure how close you can see, but it has 4 screws here, and you can remove those screws and take the fan out to clean it and then put it back in. And that's really good forethought, because if you've ever worked with any kind of HVAC system or anything, you know how much dust can get into fans and things like that. So that's a really good bit of forethought. And you'd assume that all of this power and even running a fan, it does require a lot of battery, and you'd be absolutely right. But I love the approach they took to that. As I mentioned before, instead of having a built-in non-removable proprietary battery, they have the user replaceable 21700 batteries. Now you can charge them in the light via the USB slot. So this USB slot serves as both charging out and the charging in the light. But you can also, as I mentioned, keep some spare batteries around on a charger and just swap those out when the batteries in the light get low. Or if the batteries go bad, you can get new batteries to replace them. You don't have to replace the whole light like some that have built-in proprietary batteries. And like I mentioned, even better, you can flip the script and use this light itself to charge your devices, turning it into basically a de facto power bank. And that extra functionality is really where it finds its place for me. In a get home bag, in a vehicle kit, at the back door if you need to run out to check the yard, or in a power outage, that is where this really makes sense. And its long runtime on lower power settings can be a huge asset in those contexts as well. So let me, yep. So in this low light setting, you can get hours and hours and hours of light on this setting, which is absolutely awesome. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, though, because there are some trade-offs with this. So the biggest one, like I mentioned, is the size. No question. This is not a pocket-friendly light. This is not your typical EDC light. Now, the fan is neat and it has its benefits, but in addition to making noise, the one thing that I keep thinking about it is that it is one more thing to go wrong. If it craps out, it's going to change the performance of the light. So that is something that you need to consider. Kind of like, and this one goes to my dad, God rest his soul. He always hated having a sunroof in a car because it was one more thing to leak, one more thing to go wrong. So I kind of do take that mindset into lights and EDC gear. The less they can go wrong, the better. And like most high output compact lights, the sustained turbo is limited by heat. So those headline numbers are kind of a burst performance. They're not a sustained performance. And last but not least is the price on this, because I haven't mentioned that yet. So the list price is $175, but right now you can get it for $140, which definitely makes it a bit more reasonable. And the thing is, for what you're getting, that is perfectly reasonable. But it is definitely an investment. But like I mentioned, this is not an EDC light. For me, that I'll carry around, this is really more around the house. And I don't mind paying that as much for a light that is going to be used around the house, and really potentially in like a power outage situation or something like that. Having something that powerful is going to be awesome. So the Wuben X1 Pro, it's easy to misunderstand the light if you look at it as an EDC light, because to me, that's not really what it is. But if you treat it like a high output utility tool, it becomes a lot more compelling. You're getting massive output, flood and throw in one package, solid runtime, and backup power capability. So no, this isn't going to be replacing my everyday carry light, but in a bag, in a vehicle, or around the house, yeah, this really does make a lot of sense to me. I'll have links down in the description for where you can get one for yourself if you want to pick one up. And if you enjoy these kind of reviews, make sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. And if there's another light or other piece of EDC gear that you'd like me to check out, make sure you let me know down in the comments. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.